class, we'll be starting a new story called Where the Wild Things Are by Morris Sendak. So before we begin, let's look at our book and see if we can find any clues to see what the story might be about. So from our cover, we can see some type of creature and a strange land with a boat and an ocean. And on the inside of our cover, you can see a picture of a little boy dressed as a wolf and wearing a crown like a king. So let's take a few minutes and write in our literature journals and see if we can make some predictions about what the story might be about. Now let's begin our story and see if our predictions are right. Where the Wild Things Are by Morris Sendak. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind. And another. His mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up," and he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night, in Max's room, a forest grew. And grew. And grew until his ceiling hung with vines and the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day. And in and out of weeks, and almost a year, to where the wild things are. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. Till Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with the magic trick of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking once, and they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all. It made him king of all the wild things. And now, cried Max, let the wild rumpus start. So we can see Max and the wild things. And all the different types of wild things with their king Max. Now stop, Max said, and sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. Then, all around from far away across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said, "No." The wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye. And sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day. And into the night of his very own room where he found his supper waiting for him. And it was still hot. The end. So now we can look at our literature journals and see if our predictions were right, or if the story went a little bit differently than we thought it was going to be. So we can see that we can learn clues about what a story is going to be like from the cover and the illustrations, but sometimes the story and the author surprises us, and the story goes a little bit differently than we thought. So after reading this story, we're going to write a little reflection, and you're going to pretend that you're Max, and that you just became king or queen of the wild things, and what rules you would make, and if you like your job as king or queen of the wild things, and what you're going to do with your job. So take some time, and then we're going to finish with this activity and go over it together. So good job, guys. You did awesome, and I hope you enjoyed the story.